let's go.
Skal jeg kigge på dig, eller skal jeg...
Ja, mest ind i kameraet, synes jeg, det er fedest. Hello everyone, we just had a small start here in Danish, but let's go to English fast so everybody can understand. I am here with the Nordic Blockchain Association CEO by the name of, let me get the full name, Nikolai Søndergaard, here at TechBBQ in Copenhagen. And I know Nordic Blockchain Association is a really nice association that's doing a lot of blockchain events and all this kind of stuff. So let's just start out, Nikolai. How did you come to invent Nordic Blockchain Association? How did it start?
Well, first off, let me say thank you, Jens, for being here and for this nice opportunity to communicate a little bit about what we do. Nordic Blockchain Association started about a year and a half ago. The fundamental idea that we build upon is that blockchain has the potential to fundamentally change the world and the way that we do things. If nothing else, it has a huge potential to fundamentally change our financial system. And that in itself is reason enough to study it very closely and to work on building the ecosystem and our abilities to work and develop this, both in the public and the private sector, as well as the capacities of private individuals to work with, for instance, cryptocurrencies, invest, understand, and also protect themselves from bad cryptos, as well as know where the good stuff is at.
Yeah.
So we started out a year and a half ago doing events. We started out mainly at universities and with students. The idea back then was, and still is to a large extent, is that the new generation, especially also represented in universities, they are really curious and they have a lot of resources and they have a lot of will to change and improve things. And that's why we started by tapping into that. And so that's also...
Which is always a good place to start if you want to develop a new technology, because you don't have the same financial pressure, of course.
Basically, yeah. And that's also the beauty of the Nordics, right? We have people and young generations with a lot of financial security and as well a lot of social intellectual capital because of our beautiful systems. And that is also something that we...
Which is free schools, free universities. Actually, you get paid to go to university.
Yes, free education. In Denmark, we even get paid to go to university. Yeah. We got free healthcare and very good social systems. Yeah. And so the idea is that no technology is really neutral. The way we build technology depends also on the coders and the context in which they're built. And so we have this potential in Scandinavia and the Nordics to both use our amazing capital that we have in terms of, what we've seen with our emerging tech sector. 2 years ago, I don't know if it's still the case, but a third of all unicorn startups coming out of Europe were actually coming out of the Scandinavian region. Okay, we have a lot of highly qualified workforce.
Interesting startup environment with some good capabilities to make small startups happen.
Exactly, and so basically if we are going to see blockchain technology change our electronic infrastructure and change our financial systems, our global supply chains and so on, we want to see a lot of that innovation coming out of the Nordics. If nothing else, so that our companies and our public sector is prepared to meet this change that's coming. Best case scenario, we can actually have a positive impact in the world and how we do things and perhaps inspire.
That sounds beautiful. That was a beautiful speech here by Nikolai. I just want to say that. Okay, so now we covered a little bit of your grounds for doing Nordic Blockchain Association. So let's hear at the moment, what are you doing with Nordic Blockchain Association right now?
So besides the events that I introduced, we had our first conference in November last year. We're doing another conference this November with the Danish Industry, which is the umbrella organization, the largest one in Denmark for most Danish corporate interests. We're also building the blockchain track here at TechBBQ, where we are right now. Yeah. So that's also very fun and a great experience. And yeah, we are looking at doing more conferences perhaps later this year or definitely in 2019.
So that's what's coming up in the future?
Besides that?
More conferences?
More conferences. Yeah. Besides that, we just started developing a prototype in collaboration with Kommunernes Landsforening. So that's the Association of Danish Municipalities.
It sounds like you're well worked into both universities and the state, the Kommune.
Exactly.
And also doing some nice conferences by yourself and with some interesting actors I saw.
So yeah, that's exactly it. What we work to do is connect the ecosystem, again, to connect private, public sector, and as well individuals, enthusiasts, professionals. And so we try to cover the full spectrum. The last thing that we're also working on is also educational programs for corporates and individuals to understand what is blockchain technology and to implement it to put it into their company business models, or at least start understanding where should they be headed or where should they be prepping themselves.
That sounds good. Let's continue on that note. Where do you see blockchain having the best use case or the best use cases right now, if we're talking what kind of branch of finance, or where do you see blockchain having the best usability right now?
Right. So what people often forget and what people should keep in mind is that blockchain technology is still a young technology. So as we saw in 2017, there was a big hype surrounding blockchain and especially cryptocurrencies. And so we saw a lot of investment going in on the basis that blockchain combined with AI could do everything from solve our transport problems to cure cancer or whatever. And so what we got to remember is that, as with all other technologies, blockchain technology also follows this hype curve where there's a spike of initial interests from investors and from private individuals, and which creates a lot of hype because people realize the potential that there is in this, but they forget the time horizon. And so that's what we've seen now with the huge dip that we're seeing with cryptocurrencies. It is people realizing, oh, well, maybe we're not there yet.
And that's interesting. I was just talking with a VR guy yesterday, a very nice guy who has a really interesting company, and he said they experienced exactly the same, really big hype. Everybody was so crazy about it, and it was going to cure everything like cancer, like you say, like all world problems. And then suddenly, very, very, very low or very big fall in interest, and people were so disappointed. And then you have the organic growth, and you see it actually starting to get used. And of course, we have also experienced that, like you say, now with blockchain and crypto, very big hype, very big fall, and now we're starting to get some organic growth, maybe where it's actually having a use case and being implemented in a correct way, in a usable way.
So what we see now of like use cases that are usable and that are coming closer to more wide-scale adoption is definitely in the fintech area. Bitcoin has been around for almost 10 years. And it's a very good example of what is possible in terms of a decentralized or semi-decentralized cryptocurrency. And we have hundreds of cryptocurrencies out there that are working on basically being the new way of transacting value and using currency.
And that I want to ask you, just with blockchain, do you see any blockchain products that are not necessarily a cryptocurrency that are having a use case by themselves as a blockchain product?
Well,
do you know some viable solutions that have been implemented or are about to be implemented? Where do you see in this perspective?
Right. So there's actually quite a few viable ones that are being developed. Whether as to what's close to implementation, I think just in Denmark we have a very interesting project happening with Maersk and IBM, which is their supply chain project using a blockchain to track containers and track where basically there's a huge use case right there in being able to track where are containers in the supply chain. When you ship a container from Shanghai or Hong Kong to Copenhagen, it can take a long time. It will go through many different ports, many different authorities. There's going to be a paperwork stack this size. And 20% of the real costs are actually just these administrative costs. It costs more than transporting the container. I think that's going to be just in general logistics and supply chains and that kind of thing. I think that's going to be one of the big ones because we are going to see a huge rise of efficiency, a huge reduction of overhead. And as these use cases develop more into the future, we're also going to see what follows this ability to track where things are at in real time and the status of the different agreements. Say I pay you for a shipment. My money might be locked in for 30 days. If we can have a blockchain that tracks that and can tell us straight away, this is where the money is, this is where the container is, that can free up a lot of liquidity, a lot of money that's otherwise locked up, and that will enable new companies that would otherwise be too small to enter the market
Exactly, that's very beautiful. I was also talking to another guy yesterday. He said one of the biggest problems for small companies is that sometimes they have to wait international payments. They have to wait 3 months to be paid, so they just run out of money. So we are seeing seen blockchain evolving on some of the Bitcoin solutions actually. More openness, less centralization, more ease of international payments, data storage, smart contracts instead of all these administrative things in all countries. And that seems to be a good use case for blockchain.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, which I forgot to mention because for me it's so obvious, payments, remittances, all these use cases are so powerful. And these are the ones we're going to see come to fruition most quickly, and it's already happening. So definitely, just the fact that we can basically eliminate or reduce to close to zero the transaction cost is massively going to change the way money flows around the world.
It's a big thing. And so you hear it here. Blockchain is coming and it's going to make a positive impact on the world. I really like Nikolai Søndergaard here. He has such a beautiful and positive view of what's going to happen, and he's helping to arrange conferences to help normal people to learn about it. He's talking with the public sector and the private sector, and he seems to be doing a very good job. And he is from Nordic Blockchain Association. I know they have a Facebook page and a homepage and everything you can go check out. So I just want to say thank you, Nikolai, for the interview.
Thank you.
And I hope to talk to you again. I will probably see you at one of the Nordic Blockchain conferences in the future.
Thank you.